I like drawing creepy stuff, so now your face is in my sketchbook. Your face is in my sketchbook now. Face is in my sketchbook. Now your face is in my sketchbook. So you're here to learn how I sketch faces. Oh, you're not. Then what the hell are you doing here? So yeah, this isn't how to draw faces, this is how I sketch faces. It's just my basic thought process whenever I'm doing a sketch. So if you think this is a horrible tutorial, that's irrelevant, because it's not a tutorial. Whenever I sketch, I don't try to be neat. I do like messy shapes to get a good structure of the face. Use a cross down the middle to indicate where the subject is facing. Shape out the nose, the jaw, the eye sockets, the forehead, and then roughly put where all the details will be. And when doing a portrait, you don't want to use too much line work. You want to indicate the detail with shadows rather than line work. And when shading, I like to think of the parts of the face as flat surfaces. It gives me a good sense of where the gradient of the shadow would be to where it transfers from light to dark. What I usually start with a portrait is the eyes. Facing of the eyes usually is that the eyes are one eye apart. The eyes are 3/4 of an eye away from the side of the face. This isn't always the case because everyone has a different face, but it's majority rule. And this is how I go about sketching an eye. First I start out with the actual pupil, then I sketch the eyelid around it. Some other people would draw the actual sphere of the eye first, but no, I draw the eyelids first because I can. And when doing a realistic portrait, you want to make sure that the eye looks rounded and it's not just a flat disc inside the eyelid. And when shading the eyelid, you have to keep in mind that they are folds that go into the skin. Top eyelid is usually defined by a dark line, accompanied by a gradient of shadow on either side. Bottom of the eyelid is usually defined by light shading on either side of the corner of the eyes, but white down the middle and a white line under the actual bottom of the eye. So watch what I'm doing right now and try to follow along with your own pencil and paper. Above the top eyelid, the brow is much more rounded on the sides. I usually treat it like I'm shading an egg. And to the corner of the eye that meets the nose, there is usually a triangle of dark shadows. And majority of the time, an eyebrow is about an eye's height above the eye. The face has a relaxed expression. Alright, that's an eye, so let's get into noses. So when starting off, I do the basic 3 circles. Then I use trapezoid-like shapes and diamonds to indicate the structure of the nose. For most noses, there's this flat space that's actually shaped like a diamond in the center of the nose, in between the eyes. And the trapezoid at the top is usually the overhang created by the brow. Sketching a rough indication of where the details will be, so the nostrils, I don't know what you would call them, lips of the nostrils. For the base shading of the 3 bottom parts of the nose, I like to treat them like they're balls. And then eventually I will blend the simple shading together to make them look like they are conjoined. And when shading the sides of the nose, you keep in mind the interference of the shadows from the cheek. And right here is where the shading would be that indicates where the nose starts to cave in into the corner of the eyes. When shading this part of the nose, it's usually split down the middle by a line that goes from the corner of the flat diamond down to the bottom of the lower eyelid. I cannot talk. When shading the bridge in between the eyes, I don't actually do a solid trapezoid shade. I like to curve the bottom and top and create a gradient where it gets lighter when it gets to the middle. And since the nose is protruding out of the face, it will cast a shadow on the lower lip, and half of the lower lip would be facing away from the light, so it will cast its own minute shadow. And now I'm going to do some shading to give the nose more shape, and just follow along and see if you can do it. Alright, I basically use all the same principles when doing something at an angle. So yeah, try practicing drawing things at an angle like this. When drawing mouths, it's very easy for me to think of them as a flat surface, but there are a lot of different parts of the mouth that cast shadows all over the face. The bottom lip causes this overhang between the chin and the bottom lip, which creates that first shadow I shaded. And I also like to think of the bottom lip as two ovals merged together, so I round out the shading. And I like to think of the upper lip as two parts that are curving into a triangle. Don't really know if that makes sense, but I don't care. And the corners of the mouth are where the most folds will be. So if the shading doesn't look right there, then the whole thing won't look right. And side profiles of a mouth are probably one of the hardest things to get right. And most of the details in the mouths is in the shading, so try to avoid too much line work except for the actual slit in the mouth. I can really tell anyone the basic concepts, but I can't really tell them how to draw what I draw, because everyone develops their own way of sketching with the basics. And I don't really want to try to give a step-by-step on how to do my style, because I think people should find their own styles. Mine's very messy and loose, and it's better for horror art, which is the main thing I do. Hello, this is the end of the video, and I just wanted to say, subscribe, follow me on my social media, and I really want to get my audience that's on TikTok onto YouTube, because TikTok pissed me off again today. They reported this backpack I customized for nudity. Where? I don't see a dick and balls. I don't see a fucking vulva. So yeah, subscribe and follow my TikTok. And possibly my second TikTok account in case that one gets banned.